Did you just ask what was BGK Network for? I'm glad that you asked. Let me get the number up because I know you're going to call. So BGK was founded by Michael. What happened to the number? The number's at the top of the screen now. But anyway, get the number. As I was saying, BGK Network was founded by... It's at the bottom of the screen. Really? Really? Okay. I'm sorry for calling you Michael. Apostle, just put me back where I can talk. Just put me back, please. Wow, some people are so sensitive, right? But seriously, what you just saw was a sample of what Apostle Michael Dulaney and Evangelist Tiffany can do through virtual ministry with BGK Network. They founded BGK to help people like you and myself to put the gospel out around the world. It's a great opportunity. I do encourage you to call the number. It's more affordable than you think. Give them a call. I did.
And welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I am so excited to have you as viewers of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. I'm Dr. Ramona Joseph, more commonly known as Dr. Mom. Yes, I am happy that people call me Dr. Mom because I believe God has given me an anointing to be able to be a safe place for men and women that want to talk with someone. Also, I believe that God has given me a ministry of intercessory prayer, and I have an opportunity to pray with people as they tell me about the various issues that are going on in their life. I would like to share with you some interesting information that you may not even know about. And that information is about Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. It was a popular radio show in Chicago on radio station WYCA, which was a Christian radio station. I will forever be grateful to Mr. Taft Harris, who was the general manager of the station. And Taft Harris and I had relationship as friends and colleagues. He invited me to share on Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family because one of the hosts, Apostle Joanne Long, was not going to be able to be present for a period of time. And so I was able to share with Tony Davidson, who was the co-host with her. And I thank God for Mr. Crawford, the owner of the station, gave me a time from 3 until 5 for Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. And then the other portion was 5 until 7. It was a great experience to talk with Christians because during that time, there were so many people that had marital relationship questions, issues about domestic violence, infidelity, and we're talking about people that were in the church. And they had no one to talk to, and so we provided that place for them to be able to talk about what their particular issues were, and we were able to advise them on what thus saith the Lord, as well as to how they could go forward in their life. Well, that was the old radio days. Back in the year 2022, I was able to meet a man called Apostle Michael Dulaney and his beautiful wife, Evangelist Tiffany Dulaney. And they invited me to be a part of the Roku television BGK network and said, would I like to do a presentation And I prayed and went before the Lord, and the presentation that God had given me was to do Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. So I'm excited that this presentation is able to come to you. I thank God for our IT specialist, that's Alicia Lewis, and she's been working with me to sit properly and to have the cameras in such a way that that we get the best of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. And I believe we have had the best. We have had some of the most awesome guests to be a part of our ministry. And I call Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family a definite ministry. It's a ministry where people are able to talk about their past experiences, death of a spouse, remarriage, marriage when you are a senior citizen, domestic violence, not blaming anyone, but being a survivor. There are just lots of issues that I believe that we have brought forward. The family that the mother gave her kidney to her son. That was very impactful for her husband, watching his wife and his son go into the operating room, different rooms they were going into. So we try to present real life problems because I believe that those of you that are viewing Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family, that many of these issues that we're bringing to you are issues that sometimes you have no one else to talk to. And it's just good to see some survivors. It's just great to know that there's some people that have walked down the same road you've walked down. And so today, I just wanted to share a little something that had recently happened during the month of February. My campus pastor, Pastor Patrick E. Winfield II, at the Potter's House of Fort Worth, had been doing a series on kingdom relationships. And he contacted me and said, Dr. Mom, I'd like for you to do something in ministry for our congregation. And I was just absolutely floored to be invited to do something for the Potter's House Fort Worth. And it was, at that time, I suggested, well, we've been listening about kingdom relationships. How about us doing a conversation that talks about healing damaged emotions? So we got together about it, and I was praying to God that someone would be delivered, that someone would be set free, that someone would hear the things that I had to say about my own personal damaged emotions. I shared about my childhood abuse. It wasn't beating, it wasn't rape or molestation. It was childhood abuse because of words I heard from the time I was able to understand what they meant. And those words were, when Ramona was born, everything went wrong. I heard those words, those 7 words, over and over and over, with a litany of all of the things that my mother felt had gone wrong. And she kept that in front of me, and that became a portion of the damaged emotions that I had. They weren't handled properly because I had such low self-esteem about it. I felt as though if I was in a car and we were driving along and someone hit your car, I would actually feel as though the reason why the accident occurred was because I was in the car, and when Ramona was born, everything went wrong. I've been hired on jobs and they terminate someone, and my feeling is the reason why they terminated that person was because when Ramona was born, everything went wrong. So I definitely had anxiety and fear about being with people, because anything that happened that was negative, it was because when Ramona was born, everything went wrong. I isolated myself even as a child. I was an only child. I isolated myself because I really did not know or understand my mother's attitudes toward me, her rage, her anger. As I have become an adult and worked in the field of spiritual counseling, I have come to find out that my mother probably not diagnosed, but suffered from a severe emotional disorder in her life, which caused her not to be the mother that I thought all mothers should be. My mother wasn't raised to be a mother. She wasn't raised to have a family. She was the baby of 9, and her mother died when she was 5 years old. And her mother's dying wish was that to all the sisters and brothers, take care of Minnie. And they took care of Minnie because they spoiled her. They gave her everything she wanted. She throw temper tantrums. If she didn't get what she wanted, they would appease her by giving her what she wanted. She manipulated her father and her older sister who were raising her. She would manipulate them by going to one and saying, Papa said I could do thus and so, and then go to Papa and say, Bertha said I could do thus and so, and they never got together. So my mother, at a very early age, perfected the manipulation, where she could manipulate people. And she did it quite well, years and years of experience with that. So it was a painful childhood. I never felt really embraced by my mother's family, the sisters and brothers that remained. I never felt like I was a part of the family. I remember that those that were alive and remaining had come to Chicago, and it was a little small family reunion. And my aunt had employed a photographer to take pictures. So we were all in the backyard, and my mother's sisters and brothers were all together, and my 3 cousins. My Aunt Bertha had 2 daughters. They were older than I was when I was born. And my Aunt Polly had 1 daughter, and she was actually married, getting married when I was born. And so I had nothing in common with my cousins because they were high schoolers and I was a little kid. At family gatherings and things, my mother's sisters and brothers would all be together laughing and talking, and my cousins, they would be together. And the one cousin, she was old enough to actually be with her mom and her mother's sisters and brothers. So there was just always Ramona by herself. So I remember we were in the backyard and we were being positioned by the photographer to take this picture. And I was a little kid, so I'm sitting on the ground, little legs crossed, and sitting in like a little Indian position. And the photographer had said, when I say smile, I'll be clicking pictures. And so I want you to put those smiles on your faces when I say smile. And so sure enough, he went back to his camera and got under the hood there, and he yelled, smile. And I took my dog, Tata, who was next to me, and I put her up in front of me. I felt as though Tata belonged more with the family than I did. When the pictures came back, it wasn't the days of Polaroid or selfies. When the photographer had finished all the dark room and everything and brought the pictures back several days later, my Aunt Bertha was livid because she said, why did you put that doll up in front of your face? Nobody will know who you were. And I felt like nobody knew who I was anyway. And people probably would appreciate the doll a lot more than they would appreciate me. Those were my damaged emotions. Those were the years that I spent in agony. Those are the years that I ultimately spent being angry because I wasn't loved, because I wasn't affirmed, because no matter what I did, it never pleased my mother. No matter how I was going to be one of the first ones in the family to to go to college out of high school. And because I did not want to go and be what my Aunt Bertha wanted me to be, go to school to be a teacher, she encouraged the family not to support me in my college education. So I ended up having to work very hard to go to school to get my college education. And I thank God because he opened so many supernatural doors for me. We don't have enough hours for Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family for me to tell you how God just always miraculously showed up in my life or my education. I told that Sunday when Pastor Winfield and I were talking, and you can see the video of it. Go to my YouTube channel, Dr. Mom's Wisdom for the Saints, and you'll see Healing Damaged Emotions. But back to what I was originally talking about. I told Pastor Winfield about my marriage because I was not honest when I married my husband, and my failure to be honest was that I wanted to get out of that house. I did not want to be in that home any longer where there was the constant reminder of when Ramona was born, everything went wrong. And so I married someone that I thought was a very kind, nice individual. He was nice to me, but he had his own secrets for marrying me. We were married 27 years, 24 of those years he was in the home. Needless to say, the end of our relationship was not very, very pleasant until finally, after our relationship, after he had divorced me, it seemed as though we had a far better relationship. The dishonesties were now in the past. So I have worked very, very hard my entire life to reach and help people. In my postgraduate degree work, I did counseling projects, and I've actually taught counseling in the college system. And so I am very happy to be a pastoral counselor with years of experience in helping people in their relationships. Now, everyone has a specialty, and my specialties are pre-marriage, marriage counseling for people who are having distress in their marital relationship, and my forte is also in divorce recovery. Let me tell you about pre-marriage counseling. Pre-marriage counseling is so very important. I have developed a document which I ask the young man or the young woman or the old man or the old woman to completely fill out. It's about 12 pages, and they fill that out separately from each other. And then we start to talk about the things that they have written. The very first question is, what do you know about marriage? And it is amazing because I have had clients who have literally been living together for 10, 15 years, and they can't answer the question, what do you know about marriage? And I tell people all the time, I don't care how long you've been living together, you haven't been married. And marriage is a whole different ball of wax or ball of strings or bowl of wax, whatever you want to call it. Pre-marriage counseling is so important because I had no pre-marriage counseling. It wasn't popular in the day when I got married. It wasn't even studied. So when you met with the pastor, it was, you all are going to get married, what date is on the books, what kind of ceremony, you having a big wedding and that, and a prayer, and that was it. There weren't any things about past issues and how are you going to live beyond the wedding day. Everybody wants to have a beautiful wedding day, but after the wedding day, there's going to be ups and downs. There's going to be trials and tribulations. And let me just tell you that Satan comes after marriage because marriage represents the kingdom. Husband, love your wife like Christ loved the church. Wife, be submitted to your own husband. Doesn't mean that you are submitted, but we need to be submitted to the church, to the rules and regulations of the Bible. And we're not submitted to those. We do what we want to do and then run to God and ask for forgiveness. And so kingdom is seen in healthy, happy marriages. What do you know about marriage? Oh, we know about the wedding. We know about the cake because we went to the cake tastings, and we've been to the dresses, and we've got the bridesmaids all lined up, and we've got the venue, and we know what we're going to eat. But what happens when we go home and when we have to live together? What happens when one of us is ill and the doctor says that there is no chance for a cure? What happens when his mother becomes sick and there's no one else to take care of her and you have to move her into your home? What happens if he has children from a previous relationship? Are you willing to sit down with the mother of those children to blend the family so that it really will be true that it takes a village to raise children? We talk about all of that in pre-marriage. Talk about if you have children, what are your children's responsibility to your marriage? Yeah, children have that responsibility to your marriage. You can't force your husband on them as their father, but you can basically have to say to your children, this is my husband, and I will do the disciplining of you. But as long as you live in our home, he's my husband, and we will abide by the rules and regulations that he has set in the house. It's a little difficult to do. So what do you know about marriage? Marriage counseling. I've had so many couples because I give them the same document. The document is before you ask, before you answer. I give them that same document and I tell them, go home and you fill out your copy and she'll fill out her copy. And you know what? When they come back, they say, oh my God, why didn't somebody ask us these questions before we got married? Well, it's not too late. It's never too late. I don't extend pre-marriage or marriage counseling for years because I can't tell you what to do. It's your marriage. I had one couple, and the husband was rather doubtful about marriage counseling, and he said, can you tell me what your success rate is? And I said, I don't have a success rate. I don't have a success rate. My clients have a success rate. Because if you really want to be married, you're going to take the advice that I give you. You're going to do what I tell you to do in restoring communication, in restoring your life together. And then there's divorce recovery. So many times people divorce and, oh, it's over with. And now they go to another relationship. They're bringing the baggage from their damaged childhood, the baggage from their damaged relationship in marriage. And now they believe that this is the be all end all, and we will live happily ever after. Doesn't work out that way. So divorce recovery helps you to get over those terrible things that maybe have happened in your life that you haven't even talked about in your previous marriage relationship. Let me just tell you, you owe yourself the opportunity of having professional pastoral counseling. I am a professional. We will meet on Zoom. We will have the opportunity to share. You will have a 30-minute free session before we even get started. And the most that I will give you is 3 sessions. If I see that there are some real extenuating circumstances, we may have a 4th session. My rates are affordable. You go out, you eat a dinner, you spend more at a restaurant, at a club than you will ever spend with me, and I'm offering you help. So there's a number at the bottom of the screen there, and that's my phone number, 972-816-7887. 972-816-7887. Give me a call. Ask me about what the services are. Let me sit with you for those free 30 minutes to find out where I believe there are holes in the buckets of your marriage relationship. Or you can write me. Email me at rjjoseph920@gmail.com. rjjoseph920@gmail.com. Now, you have your one initial free session, you have your basic 3 sessions, and then 4 weeks after your last 3rd session, you will have a concluding session in which I will give you activities, I will give you things to do over the next 6 months of your marriage. I can't begin to tell you the number of couples that I have sat in front of and asked God to help me understand where they are and what's going on. There's never, ever a right or wrong. You're not going to come into my sessions and rag on each other, talk about each other, and no. I have a solution for all that. Contact me, 972-816-7887. You owe it to yourself to have good pastoral counseling in your pre-marriage, in your marriage, as well as if you are in a divorce situation. When I lived in Chicago, I did professional pastoral counseling. That's what I did. And I got a call from a couple, and actually it wasn't a couple, it was a judge's clerk who called me and identified who the judge was and said that there was a couple that were contemplating divorce, and the judge refused to sign the divorce decree until they had counseling with Dr. Ramona Joseph. They came to me for counseling. Now, these are people that were in divorce court. They came to me for counseling. They're still married. They're still married. I was able to contact the judge and say, I think we have come to resolutions as to what their problems are. So, as I said, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to be the best that you can be. You owe it to yourself to have professional pastoral counseling. Give me that phone call. Write me on the email. I've been through damaged emotions, and I know exactly what it is. I know exactly how you may feel. You may think, well, she's just sitting there. She doesn't know what we're feeling, what has happened in my life. I probably know more about what has happened in your life because of the years that I have done this. I have worked in a substance abuse facility with alcoholics and substance abusers, and they have some real issues beyond their alcoholism, beyond their drug abuse. And those issues are the result of damaged emotions. I can't talk enough about how many people in our world are walking around with damaged emotions. Oh, they're smiling. Meet them in church. I'm blessed and highly favored. And yet, you follow them down the street from the church, they're boohooing and crying with their hands on the steering wheel. And they believe that everyone else is living the best life, and they're a wreck. They have damaged emotions. Emotions from childhood, from people saying things to them and doing things to them. It's not always in a rape or a molestation. Sometimes damaged emotions have come from the way we were treated by families. The families had favoritism, and we were not the favorite. So it's been my pleasure to talk with you during this edition of Let's Talk About Marriage and the Family. Once again, thank you so much for viewing. Thank you so much for your support. I'm thanking God. I received some wonderful support for this presentation, and I thank God for that support, and I thank God for each one of you. I'm Dr. Mom. Until the next time we have an opportunity to talk, and the next time I'm going to have a powerful guest that will be sharing the screen and the studio with me. So until then, I'm Dr. Mom. Don't forget, give me that call, send me that email, and I'll be so very happy to interact with you, to be a part of restoration in your life. God bless you.